Hello and welcome. Quite a novel concept that's been introduced, at least in the political space, by the Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, who was speaking today at the Kochi International Airport Authority, the convention center there, and he was addressing a massive gathering of women, where he said that Kerala will now want to introduce what is called a gender audit at the workplaces. What he said was that through this gender audit, he is hoping to increase the representation of women in the workforce and ensure that there is equal pay for equal work. That is an issue that is certainly existing, especially in the private sector, and the Kerala Chief Minister wants to address that. He pointed out that official figures indicate, the National Survey of Higher Education indicates that there are maximum number of women in Kerala in the higher education sector, but somehow they do not translate into women in the workforce as well, and that's the reason he believes that a gender audit like this can help bring in policies which will make the workplace much more friendly for women. The other important issue that he spoke about is that Kerala, even otherwise we know as a state that has the best sex ratio, more number of women, more literate women as well. But he also spoke about the fact that Kerala was among the first states to bring in menstrual leave, and in the higher education institutions, universities, there is 2 days of leave that they can claim as menstrual leave. Interestingly, Bihar is the other state which had in fact introduced paid menstrual leave of 2 days for its women working in the government sector. What I must point out is that the Kerala Chief Minister also spoke about what is called the gender budget, meaning what is the spending in the budget, in the state budget, union budget towards women. What he said was that since 1997 in the local bodies in Kerala, they have been talking about a gender budget, and Kerala spends as much as 21.6% of its budget on gender related issues, and the spending is 21.6% this year, he said. And he gave a comparison to the union government to say that even though the union government also talks about a gender budget, that allocation has never been more than 6%. So Kerala in many senses wanting to take the lead in this. What I must point out is that for India to realize perhaps its demographic potential, what we talk about is the potential of not just the youth but also the women, which is not participating in as many numbers as its demographics suggest in the workforce itself, and therefore he believes or the country believes, economists believe that no country which does not exploit the potential of its women to the fullest can grow to its fullest. So if India has those ambitions to become the third biggest economy or become a developed country by 2047, it's not going to be possible without the participation of women. Just to give you some statistics, the female labor force participation ratio in India is among the lowest anywhere in the world. Of course, they have recently given figures that suggest that it is above 30%, but in the formal sector, certainly the number of women in the workforce is less than 20%, among the lowest anywhere in the world, compared to say China, with who India always likes to compare itself and say that China with its $15 trillion economy, this is what we compete with, and there 60% of its women are in the formal workforce, and that's where the contrast comes, less than 20% and 60%, and that's where measures like these that make it favorable for women to come into the workforce prove very useful. And therefore this concept that's been spoken about by the Kerala Chief Minister of a gender audit, and perhaps that will lead to more policies that will make the workplace more friendly for women, that's what one would be driving towards. Of course, the Prime Minister has also been speaking about women in the workforce, and he very proudly in fact has said at international meetings, saying that there are more girls joining the STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, mathematics stream in India, than boys, and that India has the highest number of civil aviation pilots. He also speaks about the fact that there are women in space, working in the field of the space sector as well. We have of course had prime ministers and presidents in India from the women thing, and of course the women representation in parliament, hopefully not just in parliament but in the legislatures across the country, will perhaps go up with the reservation bill that is brought in parliament, that is hoping to increase the numbers. Of course, the numbers in 2019 were the highest ever so far, but even that doesn't exceed about 15%, and that's where the reservation in parliament also hopefully will go up. Interestingly, even in the progressive states, so-called progressive states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, even Kerala, the representation in the legislatures has hovered only around 10%, and therefore the reservation also perhaps a very important element. One way of course, leapfrogging women into prominence, not just socially but also economically, because that's also something that the Kerala Chief Minister spoke about, that without financial independence you cannot expect them to have social development. And in that context, the Prime Minister has introduced concepts like Lakpa Dees, which means that SHG women, 2 crore SHG women he hopes will become Lakpa Dees, and drone Dees as well, where about 15,000 women from the SHG groups from rural India are being trained to become drone pilots, and certificates they will get in running those drones, and each of them is being given a drone of 10 lakh rupees, which will be then used for spraying of pesticides, spraying of fertilizers, and so on and so forth. So in that sense, a lateral entry for the women, and their position in the village in that sense will go up, because they are the ones who are controlling the drone machine, which will be spraying the pesticides that can not only bring down the health effects of the spraying of chemicals, but also become a livelihood means with less cost for the farmer and improved livelihood for these women themselves. So the gender audit that the Kerala Chief Minister has spoken about, perhaps something that the entire country would also need to look at a later stage. That's it on this particular blog. Keep watching for more such updates about what is happening in the world of not just women, but in the world of politics and also economics and the social dynamics. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagraju, Sudhir, NDTV.